So, Lone Rider here, and I just wanted to throw something out there. Maybe you can help me with this. Something that's been bothering me for a while as both a cyclist and a driver, and even as a pedestrian, really, is that I pay attention to roadway related safety issues. And one of the things I've noticed is there's like one group of people that always violates the law and seemingly does it with the attitude that they're entitled to do so. And they almost regard, if you dare to point out that they shouldn't do it, they almost regard it as if like you're the one that's doing something wrong. And I'm talking about landscapers, all right? Now I know these people are hardworking, they're out there trying to earn a living, whatever. But if the only way you can earn your living is by endangering the public and breaking the law on a daily basis, then there's something wrong with your chosen vocation or the way you've chosen to implement it. In particular, in an almost literal sense, if the only way you can earn your living is to break the law and endanger the public literally every time you go out there to do your job, you're essentially in like organized crime, right? I mean, it's almost like the definition of it. And what I'm talking about, of course, is where they park their trucks. And almost invariably, they park their trucks on the side of the road, whether it's legal to do so or not. And in point of fact, many of them park them in places where it's not only illegal to do so, but where, that, like, even if it was legal to park a normal private automobile there, a sedan or a station wagon or an SUV or a pickup truck, it may not necessarily be safe or legal to park a commercial truck there because it's much wider. So, even if it was legal to park there, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's legal or safe to park what they're parking there, namely these giant dump trucks with trailers and things like that. Then we have the fact that on top of that, they almost invariably park them with complete disregard for the law and what that street is zoned for as far as parking is concerned. And even if it's a place where it's just flagrantly obvious and posted on signs up and down the street, no parking, they just park there anyway, right? And it's almost like they know they're not supposed to do this because if you point out to them, and I've done this both on my bike and in my car, and usually very civilly, by the way. I mean, I'd be entitled to holler at them and say, you're a bunch of, law-breaking asshats. But what I usually do is I usually say something to the effect of, hey, you can't park here. And they almost invariably respond not with, what do you mean? What's that about? Or some other, exclamation that would indicate that they're taken by surprise by this and they're unawares. They usually go straight to a negative defensive response, cursing you out, hollering at you. One made grunting noises at me like he was some kind of an orangutan. I'm not sure what that was about. Maybe he was high or something. But generally speaking, they, when you point out, hey, it's illegal to park here, like, what are you doing? They, oh, F you, bleep, bleep, bleep. And it's like, okay, so, you get the impression that they either know that what they're doing is something they're not supposed to be doing, or that they're just angry because they've had like 10 other people already point out to them that they shouldn't be doing that, and they're kind of fed up with it. Well, it's not a hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, if 10 people have pointed out to you in the last hour that what you're doing is flagrantly illegal, breaking the law, and a menace to public safety and road users everywhere, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Just a thought. So, and as a cyclist, I mean, it's dangerous to go around these things. I have to move into the path of potentially overtaking traffic. As a driver, I often find myself heading, I have to go completely on the wrong side of the street sometimes to go around these trucks. And it's not just that they block one side of the street, sometimes all the way out to the double yellow line in extreme cases, if they park on a particularly narrow or curvy road. It's that in addition to blocking travel in one lane and rendering the street, from one lane in each direction to one lane only, they also block visibility. So not only do you have to completely go head on into oncoming traffic to go around the truck, you can't see if anybody's coming when you're forced to do so. And so as a general rule, I mean, when I have to do this, I just lean on the horn for the duration while I'm passing to provide warning. Invariably, if the landscaper's anywhere near the truck, he usually hollers at me. Some of them have actually thrown stuff at my car. Well, I mean, dude, you're illegally parked. What the hell? Why are you beeping at me? I'm trying to deal with the situation the best way possible. And that, again, it gets back to whenever you in any way respond to what they're doing, whether it's, hey bro, you can't park there, the street's no parking, or whether it's, beeping the horn because you have to go onto the wrong side of the street to pass them and you're trying to avoid a head-on collision, they almost invariably respond with anger, vitriol, etc. It's almost like the righteous indignation of the people who think that what they're doing is actually okay and you're the one that's doing something wrong. And it's like, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. I honestly don't understand it. I don't understand why. I understand they're out there trying to earn a living, and that's fine, but they can abide by the law. And the homeowner can abide by the law too. I mean, if you buy a house that's not zoned for, let's say, commercial use, right? It's in a residential neighborhood and that's all it is. Then you can't open a casino in your garage. I'm sorry, I know you want to, but it's illegal because it's not zoned for that. That's part of, you bought the house in that area, you should know what the zoning is. If you buy a house on a street that's no parking, then you should know that you either, one, can't have somebody come to mow your lawn and trim your bushes or do whatever, or if they do so, they have to park in the driveway. Now, you could say part of that's on you to tell them they have to do that, but part of that should be on them too, because that's their business model. Their livelihood is going around in big trucks with large, heavy equipment, and they should therefore know, just like they should know how to safely drive those trucks and have the license to do so, they should also know what the applicable laws are in the various areas for where they can park them. The fact that they park on a street where it's legal to park on the street the same way as they do on a street where it's illegal to do so and flagrantly dangerous boggles my mind. And like I said, I've had near head-on collisions with these people. I've had them curse at me. I've had them throw things at me. I've had them threaten me when I point out that they can't park there. On my bicycle, I've nearly been sideswiped trying to go around them. In my car, I've been endangered by them. And I honestly don't know what the whole deal is. Is there like a landscaper cult where they all subscribe to the belief that they're above the law and like they worship Satan? I don't know. Somehow I doubt it. I'm being facetious. I don't think they all worship Satan. But I do think they all act in a way that, I can't think of any other private business where a routine part of doing the job is to break the law and endanger the lives and safety of other people. And it must take a certain amount of extreme egotism or just complete lack of moral compass to do that. I mean, maybe I'm a little more cognizant of the danger because as a cyclist, I have actually been hit by cars. So I pay a little more attention to roadway safety issues, in particular things like traffic interaction, which would include things like people parking ginormous illegally parked trucks where they shouldn't park them. But the point is, in some ways I would be just as pissed if somebody parked a station wagon there because they're not supposed to and it's a danger. But when it's almost invariably the landscapers and they do it all the time, constantly without, I can literally tell you, I've been able to count on one hand, which is 4 fingers and a thumb, 5 fingers. I can count on one hand the number of times in the last 20 years I have seen a landscaper truck parked in a driveway. And it's 2 times. Now that includes not only places where they're allowed to park on the street, but places where they aren't, because of course they treat it as if it's the same. They don't obey the law. They break the law as a rule, and I don't understand this. And it's kind of funny. I remember one time I was riding my bike and I had to swerve around this guy, and I almost got clipped by a car. And I went to there was a policeman waiting in a speed trap in a driveway across the street, and I stopped and I said to the policeman, "Hey, there's a guy over there with a truck." And I said, "Look, I'm not vindictive. I don't want you to ticket him or anything, but could you tell him he has to move it, because this is a main road and you're not supposed to park there?" And the guy looked at it and he goes, "He's parked in the shoulder. What's the big deal?" Well, by definition, all parallel parking takes place up against the curb, therefore in the shoulder. Now, of course, on this particular street, the shoulder was actually marked as a bike lane, so it's even a little more absurd. You're not supposed to block them, but whatever. The point is that the policeman's response was essentially to say, by saying he's parked in the shoulder, which of course, by definition, all parallel parking, legal or illegal, takes place up against the curb, meaning it would include the shoulder. So it's like, when I point out that he's illegally parked, his response is essentially to say he's illegally parked. Yeah, and your job as a policeman is to prevent that. In my own town, I've had them park sometimes close to side streets, and you're coming out of the side street, you can't see around them. And several times I've actually told the local constabulary, I said, can you tell that? And again, I usually am understanding. I'm not like, I don't want the guy ticketed. But could you tell him he has to move that thing? I can't see around it. I was nearly hit twice trying to pull out of the street, make my turn out of my own neighborhood. The street's no parking. It's been no parking since before I was born. I don't know. I mean, if these people can't read the signs, maybe they need to get hooked on phonics stat, but the point is they shouldn't be parking it there. And I remember one of them, there was no way for them to move it because they disconnected the trailer and left it there and drove the truck away. So the police were like, well, what are we supposed to do? They can't move it. Well, honestly, you should just tow it away then because it's not supposed to be there. But the point is, whenever I've pointed it out to authorities, I found their response to be lackluster, which is funny because police generally, not to rip on the police, but they usually don't have a problem ticketing people. Now, maybe what they think is that they're giving these guys a break, they're doing them a favor, whatever. Yeah, in the process, they're setting all the rest of us up for a closed casket special when we get hit head on trying to go around them in a car or get run over on our bikes or trying to cross the street. Enabling a culture of rampant lawlessness because you think you're doing somebody a favor isn't doing anybody any favors. It's not doing any favors to the people that are endangered by that bullshit, excuse my language, and it sure as hell isn't doing any favors to the people who are committing the infractions because all you're setting them up for is you're making them complacent and think that this is okay. And then when somebody's ultimately killed and they're charged with manslaughter or there's a huge wrongful death lawsuit filed against them, they're going to be like, well, what happened? This is out of the blue. Yeah, because nobody was enforcing the law because they thought they were doing you a favor. No, it's not doing anybody a favor to allow people to break the law in a way that endangers the public. And again, I guess you kind of have to be a cyclist or maybe a motorcyclist, but anybody who's not, protected inside a car to realize how dangerous all this bullshit is on a day-to-day basis. Excuse my French. The irony, I guess, is that even people in cars are endangered by this to some degree. It might not seem as, obvious a concern to them because they're more protected, but I'm going to be honest, I don't want to be involved in a head-on collision on my car any more than I do on my bike, right? I mean, and so I honestly don't know where this culture of lawlessness and rampant disrespect for the safety of others comes from. I mean, do these people just literally not care if they cause anybody to be injured or killed? Do they not care that they're a menace to public safety? Do they think that for some reason they're above the law? I honestly don't know. So if you're a landscaper, maybe you can help me answer this question. I'm asking you. Why do you feel that you can break the law all the time you drive your truck? I've been waiting for an answer for like the last 20 years and I haven't gotten one. Ironically, in the interim, the lawless behavior of people has gotten worse and worse and more dangerous. And it's just like I don't know. At what point do you, like I said, if in order to go out there and earn your living, you doing your job is predicated upon you breaking the law and endangering the lives of others and harming other people, I mean, at some point you might as well be a member of organized crime or something, right? I mean, you're not like, yes, a landscaping job is a legitimate job. Yes, these people are hard workers, blah, blah, blah. But in order to do their job, they break the traffic laws every freaking day. And I don't understand why. And I don't understand why we haven't tried to curtail it. And, I'm getting kind of sick of being endangered by this every day for 20 years. At some point, I have to say, what gives? So I don't know. Maybe you can help me out. Maybe you know what gives. I don't know what gives. As far as I know, maybe these people all got dropped on the head when they were a child. Maybe they just literally think they're above the law. Again, maybe they're a member of some cult. I don't know. But all I know is that every day I see them constantly breaking the law and nobody seems to do anything about it until, in the event you do actually have a collision, then everybody sits there and goes, oh my God, this is horrible. Whatever could we have done? Well, maybe you could have dealt with the problem 20 years ago when it started to raise its ugly head. I mean, just a thought, right? So I don't know. Are you a landscaper? Do you legally park your truck all the time? Do you even bother to pay attention to whether it's legal to park there or not? Do you consider these things?